Hey everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It is Sunday morning, and I want to talk about Meghan Markle. Despite her overblown opinions of herself, and despite the royal affectations, despite the titles that she insists on, Meghan Markle's not a duchess. She's a frowsy tramp. She always has been, and she always will be. And you know what I'm kind of hoping is more and more is coming out about Meghan. As I said the other day, I believe we're in the watershed. No doubt that we will get a confirmation of the yacht girl rumors. I mean, I've had so much evidence and cross-linking in my work with the Soho House connection and Marcus and those involved in. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that she was a girl for hire, politely. It's a common practice among young starlets, and signaling with the hat. All that. This is who Meghan is in a nutshell. You can see her inner slut in everything that she does. She acts it, she believes it. She's just all that. She's sexy. She thinks she's Mata Hari, and men just fall at her feet. Which is really funny. Because we see her acting this frowsy, loose, slutty behavior all the time. But then we've had things like where she comes out and said, oh, when she was working on Deal or No Deal as a suitcase girl, she had to quit because she felt sexually exploited. It was never about that. That's a lie. What happened with Meghan was while she was on the set of Deal or No Deal, she came on to Howie Mandel, and Howie's wife, who was one of the producers, just went crazy. Meghan was fired for her loose, slutty behavior coming on to Howie Mandel. She never complained about her cameo in 90210, simulating a sex act in the front of a car. Was it even a speaking part, or was she just slurping? Her biggest role was on Suits, a Canadian cable show where she was 6 in line in the call sheet as bit player in 7 years. Meghan's screen time was a total of 138 minutes. Just over a couple hours altogether. It was a couple of minutes on every show, and most of the time she was in her underwear. This is how she was defined. This is what she likes. This is who she thinks she is. She thinks she's some kind of sex goddess. Because she's never complained about the scenes she had to portray in Suits. Heady intellectual legal drama, and she was romping in her underwear for a couple of minutes every episode. She didn't seem to feel too exploited about that. She wasn't a victim of misogyny there. And, this overt sexual behavior is still present today. She's constantly clinging to and climbing all over every man she gets near, kissing them on the mouth. It's disgusting. She considers herself a real siren, conqueror of all men. And that her talents, might have been great when she was a 20-year-old, but she's mid-40s, kind of washed up. But this is what she's done. All of her accomplishments, all of her compliments have hinged on her relationship with one man or another, whether it be her father, Trevor, Corey, Marcus, eventually Harry. Her connection with Soho House, how she met Harry. Well, apparently before they hooked up, she had spent some time with one of Harry's buddies who said, wow, she's something else. She would, quote, do anything. So that'll tell ya. Meghan aims to please. And that's how she entranced and entrapped Harry, and her self-idealized sex kitten persona is how she actually defines herself. There's a real psychopathy there for somebody for that to be their motivation. There would have to have been, whether you talk about like MK Ultra programming, the sex kitten program, we know all about that. We know what happens to kids in Hollywood. At some point, she understood in her head that kind of behavior is what she can project to get what she wants. And that's, she's used that kind of, she slept her way to the top. Well, not the top, but, the royal family. She absolutely, she conned Harry. And it hasn't changed. It's not like she could ever admit, well, yeah, as a young actress, I did some pretty unsavory things, but, that's my truth, but that's not me. That's not true. That's not true. Everything Meghan does, she has to project this sexual thing as part of her psyche. She cannot eat a piece of fruit without making a job face. This woman is disgusting. Everything she does is projecting that kind of behavior. She's not a duchess. She's not going to change, And now, more than ever, all the titles and the privileges and the royal, it's all got to be stripped to save the royal family any more embarrassment or trouble. Because Meghan is just awful. Hope you enjoyed this. Just a couple of my thoughts. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.